Mel Robbins. Throughout the last decade, I've been helping millions of people through my social media channels and online courses to overcome an issue that actually 40 million of you can relate to, including me, and that's anxiety. Maybe you or somebody you love suffers from anxiety, but have you ever heard of the term second-hand anxiety? Yeah, I didn't make that up. This is actually based on research. Believe it or not, studies show that your anxiety doesn't just impact you, it impacts those around you. And that's why I was so excited to share this quote with you today. Your energy is contagious. You either affect people or you infect them. Now, Marika emailed me asking for help with her anxiety and how it's affecting her family. Take a look.
I'm Marika. I'm 47 years old. 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I underwent treatment, and today I'm happy to say I'm in remission. But remission doesn't mean that I don't worry every day that the cancer might return. My health is still the #1 concern in my life. It's like my own internal battle that nobody knows what I go through except for me. It's torture sometimes, but I feel like I have to keep it to myself. But this isn't my only worry. I worry about absolutely everything. Will I be around for my daughter's wedding? Who's going to take care of my family if I'm not here? Have I taught my daughters everything they need to know? With the anxiety, I always just feel sick to my stomach. I try to keep my worries to myself, but I noticed my 23-year-old daughter, Carly, is now experiencing the same uneasiness that I know all too well. I really want to be a pillar of strength for my daughter, but it's hard to give her advice that I can't take. This is my post-cancer life, and I don't want to waste another minute of it worrying. I need Mel's help.
Marika, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, the term that really stuck out at me when I was watching that tape is internal battle. So can you describe for me what triggers that internal battle of anxiety inside you?
Well, I think for me, I feel a lot of pressure to really come out blazing. I survived cancer. I really thought I was going to die. I was stage 3. And it's I have the rest of my life ahead of me. What am I going to do with it? And so I put a lot of pressure on myself because of that, with the work that I do with animals. But also, I'm constantly worried about, once you have a cancer diagnosis, it's not like a broken leg where 6 weeks go by and then you're back to normal. It sort of hangs over your head like a little dark cloud for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's really common. What does it feel like in your body when this internal battle starts to take over?
Yeah, I oftentimes just have a lot of nausea where I just feel shaky and nauseous. Sometimes my knees feel a little weak. I also notice that I don't feel like I think very clearly. It's like my brain kind of goes foggy.
I think that's our age.
Oh, okay.
Do you talk to your husband about this?
I do talk to my husband, not to the extent...
I hear a but.
Yes, not to the extent that I actually have anxiety. A lot of times
Wait, does he not know that you're struggling with anxiety?
He knows, I just don't share as often as I have it with him. So it's sort of it'll bottle up for a while and then I'll let him know.
Why don't you talk to him about it?
Well, he's a guy, so he likes to fix things. And sometimes the things that I'm anxious about, I can't even really put my finger on it. So what exactly am I gonna explain? Also, if I'm worried about my health, if a friend of mine's had a recurrence, that's really rattling for me. And I don't really want to drag my rest of my family down that path with me. Just because I'm afraid and anxious, I don't want them to be as well. So that's why I sort of keep it to myself to the most part. But then also, he oftentimes tells me why I shouldn't feel a certain way, which is not helpful to me. And it just kind of makes me feel a little bit angry because I just want him to say to me, I can understand how you would feel that way.
Right.
Instead of saying, oh, you shouldn't feel this way because X, Y, and Z.
Right. Does it make you feel invalidated too?
Yeah, it does.
And talk to me a little bit more about the anger, because I think that's a common response.
Well, I remember confiding in him once, and I told him, I said, I think I'm gonna die. And I had that feeling for a long time, but I'd never had actually said those words. And he said to me at that point, he goes, if you think that way, that's what's going to happen. And I remember feeling really angry at that moment because I remember feeling like this was my fault somehow and that I wasn't allowed to be vulnerable or weak or like be anything but positive when dealing with this. And if something bad happened, it was because I couldn't control everything that was going on inside me and process it. I kind of felt like I sucked at life. I sucked at coping with this.